Hey guys, Nate McChesney here. And today, right now, I'm about to do something that I never thought that I'd do. I'm going to share with you my biggest insecurity in life, tell you who I really am. I'm going to share with you over the course of the next 10 minutes how, over the course of the last 10 years, my life has gone from being something that was extremely positive and bright, having a lot of money, living on a beautiful beach in Costa Rica, feeling great about my life, to losing everything, hating myself, living on welfare, going through a divorce, and finally sleeping out of the back of my Volkswagen Passat for over 60 nights. I'm going to share with you how the last 5 years of my life has felt like nothing more than just one failure after another. But then I'm going to tell you how I've changed and the person who I'm going to become. You see, for my entire life, I've had this one huge irrational fear, which has stopped me from doing countless things. See, I believed foolishly that I wasn't as good as other people, or I wasn't as smart as other people, and I definitely didn't have the confidence to succeed. Wasn't as confident as others. I've tried to hide this from the world forever, where I've tried to please other people or impress other people in hopes that I'd learn to like myself. I've run from this fear my entire life till today because I finally realized that until I have the courage to stand up and do something of this magnitude, well, then I'll never live the life that I truly want. And that this fear isn't going anywhere until I do this. So that's what this is. Now, to be honest with myself and fair with myself, one of the main reasons that I suffer from low self-esteem, or I have suffered from low self-esteem, is because as a child or in kindergarten, I was diagnosed with the learning disability dyslexia. And then 3 years ago, I was diagnosed as having ADD, which I've had my entire life. I just didn't know it until 3 years ago. So when I got that diagnosis, I began to research it intensely. The more I read, the more I learned. Actually, it was like looking out a window into my soul, and I understood for the first time why I've suffered from low self-esteem. As ADD, that's one of its main traits, low self-esteem. But then the more I read, the more I learned. And I learned that when you couple ADD with dyslexia, it can be doubly damaging to self-esteem. Now, don't get me wrong. The point of my story today is not to be depressing. I'm not going to make excuses, and I definitely don't want your pity. See, my hope, in fact, is that my story is inspirational. Because today is a very good day. Because today, I earned $4,500 as an online marketer. Now, today didn't happen because I was more motivated to succeed than ever before in life. I was, but that's not the reason that today happened. You see, today happened because I finally begun to change the way that I think on the inside, and thus the way that I view the world. See, I've been doing a ton of reading and research over the last 5 months, and I've learned that confidence and self-esteem, like any other skills in life, can be learned and they can be improved. We just simply need to do what we fear and read. Now, I know there's some of you out there that are watching this thinking, oh, dude, please don't talk about loving yourself for 10 minutes. And I get that. I know it's taboo to talk about that in our society. But I mean, honestly, life is short. Aren't we supposed to enjoy life and live it to the fullest? I think that's everyone's birthright. How can you honestly do that if you don't like yourself, or worse, hate yourself? I know that I can't. And one of the main reasons, or one of the things that I've learned over the last 5 months, is that for the first time in a long time, I'm realizing that I'm starting to like myself again. That I can do great things. I just need to get over this fear, and I can do whatever I want in life. And one of the main reasons I've been able to change the way I think is because I finally got the answer to the question that's baffled me my entire life. And that question is, how can I truly love myself and live a fulfilling life? The answer to that question is so simple, it was almost painful for me. The answer is, you are what you think, so think positive. The power of the human mind is astounding. Our mind and our thoughts definitely create our reality. By changing our thoughts, we have the power to change our world. I speak from experience, and I have witnessed firsthand the power of the mind. I've lived both extremes. I've been both extremely happy and then extremely depressed. In 1999, right after graduating from the University of Denver with a master's degree in social work, my parents gave me the incredibly generous gift of over $600,000 in the form of a trust fund. So right after I graduated, I decided that learning Spanish would be extremely beneficial with my degree. So I moved to Central America, or Costa Rica, on a beautiful little beach town. I lived there from 1999 to 2004. While I was there, I felt like I could do no wrong. I was constantly thinking positive thoughts, and consequently, positive things happened to me all the time. I was more confident than ever. People were drawn to me. I felt like a magnet for good. I attracted this great job as the director of the English program at the language school on the beach. I attracted this beautiful, smart, confident Costa Rican woman and her beautiful 8-year-old son into my life. 3 years later, we were married on the beach, surrounded by friends and family. Life was brimming with opportunity, and the future was very bright. Right after we got married, I decided to move us to Denver, Colorado. My thought was we could move back and forth between Colorado and Costa Rica. So I got into real estate, thinking I could do it in both places. Almost instantly, I began to start feeling those negative feelings of self-doubt and anxiety. I began to slowly convince myself that I'd probably never be a very good realtor. I began to convince myself to not do the things that I knew I needed to do to succeed in real estate. I convinced myself that I wasn't going to be any good, and why should I call my friends, as they'd be better served with another realtor. I chose to simply wait and hope for success. The years passed, and we bought things that we never should have bought. Our monthly budget got extremely high. We did these things in the hopes that eventually my business was going to take off. See, I thought because I was a good person and I had good intentions that eventually my friends would just assume, or eventually naturally assume to call me, and that my boss would start giving me some of his listings. When those things didn't happen, I started to get angry. And by the end of 3 years, we burned through nearly half the trust fund. I was angry at my surroundings. I blamed my surroundings. I blamed the politicians. I blamed my wife for not allowing me to move us back to Costa Rica like I wanted to. I resented successful people. I resented people that were confident. Being around friends and family was often painful and humiliating. I was angry at my friends for using other realtors, but mainly I was angry at myself for sitting back, watching it all fall apart, and doing nothing. I wallowed in my despair, and the future was starting to get bleak. In fact, the only thing at this point in my life that gave me any real joy was being around my two small kids, Mia and Miles. Mia was like 1 at the time, and Miles was like 3.5. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my stepson, but he was like 14 at the time, was going through his own struggles, so we weren't exactly a super dynamic duo. However, like all small children, Miles and Mia were pure joy to be around, and I clung to them. 3 more years passed, and now by the end of 2010, the trust fund was entirely gone. I was now out of real estate. Economy was horrible. Couldn't sell my house. I was getting zero response from the resumes I was sending out. We were now living on a small monthly loan from my parents. We were living on food stamps. My wife was working at Macy's, and I was taking care of the kids full time and looking for an online opportunity to move back to Costa Rica, some kind of business that would allow me to do it in Costa Rica. The fighting between my wife and I was getting worse. It was getting worse and worse. Divorce was now becoming a serious topic. The only reason I didn't want one is that I hated the idea of losing my kids 50% of the time. I can honestly say that 2010 and 2011 were the darkest years for me. I'd almost lost all hope. And I'm ashamed to say this, but I began to start thinking of ways to end my life and make it look like an accident. Now, I know that I never would have done this because of my kids and because of my parents, but I just want you to understand just how dark and how negative things got for me. So another year passed, and it was now 2012. Now I'd failed at a string of online opportunities, and I found a job as a busser, bussing tables. With tips, the pay was actually pretty decent. My wife was now working as an insurance agent. She wasn't making a ton of money, but she was showing real promise. So our financial situation wasn't great, but it was improving. We were now no longer receiving the monthly loan, but we were on food stamps. And the fighting between my wife and I was getting worse and worse. Things never got physical, but the verbal abuse was horrific. On 3 different occasions, I punched holes in doors and walls. I never knew I could get so angry. We were now both in full agreement that we had to get a divorce, just a matter of time. However, the main problem was that we couldn't afford to separate. We could only afford the one house. Out of exhaustion and frustration from the fights, I took refuge and slept in my car for over 60 nights over the course of a year. I'd simply lay down the back seat, sleep with my feet in the trunk, and pray that no one broke into the car when I slept. Another year passed in that beautiful situation, and things really hadn't improved. Things were pretty much still the same, really bad. That was the end of 2013. But my good friend from Cuba introduced me to an online marketing company called Empower Network. Instantly, I was intrigued by what they said. As they said, that in order to succeed at life or in any business, you first needed to have the right mindset. Without the right mindset, that you fail at every business. In a nutshell, they changed everything for me. Now, I know that there's some of you out there that are watching this and you're saying to yourself, or you're thinking, what does this guy know? Parents gave him everything, lost it all. Welcome to the real world, pal. And I get that, I do. But honestly, I just want you to know that I never felt like I deserved that money. I knew I hadn't earned it. I felt extremely fortunate to have it. I was really glad and thankful, but I didn't feel like I deserved it. So I hated myself, failed like a champion, and I lost it all. One of my favorite authors, T. Harv Eker, would say that my negative mind or my inner world was so poor that I was never ready to have that wealth or that money, that I was always going to lose with that mindset. And I agree. And I can't change the past. But thank God in life we get do-overs, because I can change the future, and I'm going to change the future. You see, because I'm not the same naive, unprepared, self-loathing person that I was 15 years ago. I've experienced difficult struggles, and I've survived. I now know more clearly than ever before what's important to me, what I want in life, who I am, and who I'm going to become. So like I said, Power Network changed everything for me. It took my negative mindset and turned it to positive, set it to success. It told me that regardless of circumstance in life, we always, always, always must remain positive. Regardless of the challenge, we have to be positive in life. It's the only way to live. They then said that you need to have a clear goal in life. They gave me a goal. My goal now is to be living on a beach in Costa Rica with my kids, working with Empower Network on or before October 1st, 2014, making over $10,000 a month residual income. They told me that you need to forgive everyone, and most importantly, yourself. I've done that. My wife and I, or soon-to-be ex-wife and I, are now good friends. And I told her that even when we're divorced, we're always going to remain friends. It's the only way to live. You can't hate people. They then told me that for the rest of my life, I need to read powerful books for 30 minutes every day for the rest of my life, and to watch powerful videos or listen to powerful audios every day for the rest of my life for 30 minutes. And they offered thousands of hours of these. They motivated me to do more with my life than I've ever wanted. They gave me confidence to succeed. They showed me that if I want to live a full life, I need to take risks. Soon, I'm going to stand on a stage and speak in front of thousands. After I accomplish more in life, I want to write books that help people improve their self-esteem. I want to help many, many others achieve financial freedom in this company and live the life that they've always wanted. I want to be the type of person that always gives back. I chose social work for a reason. I love helping people. One day, I want to build schools and help the poor in Costa Rica. And today's story, me telling my story today, is not just about me. It's also for my parents, who I love. I don't want them to worry about me because I'm better than ever. And I don't think I've ever adequately expressed just how grateful I am for everything that they've done for me. Today's for my kids, my 3 kids who mean the world to me. I never want to see them struggle internally as I have. I want to be the type of person they can emulate and they can draw strength from. And that's what I'm going to be. To my friends, all I can say is I'm sorry. I know that many of you don't know that this happened. I know that many of you would have come to my aid had I told you. But however, out of pride and embarrassment, I chose to remain silent. I'm done being silent. Being silent and not sharing what we learn in life is both selfish and a waste. It is not the path to self-fulfillment. So that's my story. I want to thank you sincerely for taking the time. If you're a friend and we've lost contact, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to reconnect. If you don't reach out, well then I hope that my story inspired you. Please feel free to send it to others. And finally, if you're watching my story and you're interested in learning more about the company that changed my life and offers 100% commission, please feel free to visit my blog at www.nateblog.net click on the yellow video icon at the top of the page, put in your email, and listen as the founder of the company, Dave Wood, tells you all about it. Ironically, Dave Wood lives and works in Costa Rica. I was there first, he's there now, and I'm on my way back. Lastly, I love this company. I'd love for you to join my team. I believe in this company. I love what it teaches people, shows people how to conquer their fears and live a full life. I think it's awesome. So thanks again, and remember that your life can be as beautiful as you want it to be, or as horrible as you allow it to be. Your past does not have to be your future. The decision is all yours.